Hey everybody, and welcome back to Crypt Monkey Paints ish. But hey, something different and something fun. And I have my table easel, which I was really surprised that it's like right here. Really, really excited the fact that it wasn't really. And I got my light back where it's supposed to be, and I just looked right at it, so now I'm blind as a bat. But hi everybody, and thank you for joining us for world building, where tonight we are going to talk a plethora of things. I'm excited because I like the natural progression of the conversation. And we have lots of. So I have a big piece of blank paper right here that's driving me insane, and I'm fiddling with my kneaded eraser. Yes, and it's like it is actually like you can see the blue tape. This is painter's tape, but I tape it down because I'm pretty rough on paper, so I like to have it pinned down to my easel. But I'm gonna start doodling. By Ty starts talking.
I was just telling Dawn I don't even feel like prepared for this. Even though we're reassociating ourselves with subjects we've already talked about, and I'm like just harried.
Well, I think part of it is because like yesterday and today was kind of a whirlwind of like tick this off. Okay, this is finished. Okay, this is done. This is done. This is done. Awesome, awesome. And there's just one thing after the next. And I mean, I really was. I was just like I was painting feverishly, and it's completely surprised that I finished that model last night. But that's kind of the way this week has been for us. Of hey, we gotta get done. Watch the time. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
That model last night looked really good. Even when you took the picture and put it in Discord, I don't think it
Yeah,
as good as it actually was in person.
yeah. It's funny because that like really bright green is super vibrant in person, and it doesn't matter how I photograph it, it doesn't look as vibrant. Even when I'm just photographed, like I've literally taken a picture of a dollop of it in the on um the palette. It still just doesn't look as bright as it actually looks in person.
Really bright.
Um, so the main thing that I'm going to be drawing tonight is dust storm. We've talked about sky jellies quite a bit. And the sky jellies are big giant jellyfish that stay aloft. They don't ever land. But they have predators that attack them from above. And one of the things they do to kind of armor themselves is they will go into dust storms and collect dirt and dust, and just let it kind of pile on them as they kind of swim through a dust storm. So I thought it'd be really
dust storms and big lightning, thunder, rainstorms. They'll go down and just pick up mud, even throw it on their backs.
But when they do that, they're obviously getting seeds and other things like that. So they will actually kind of create these islands on their backs, their heads. I thought it would be fun to draw the dust storms that they kind of go into. Big white canvas.
Hello, sawdust.
I hate big white pieces of paper. So boring. Yeah. Do we have autofocus on? Is that what we're doing today?
Yeah, do you want me to take it off?
I don't know. I just like I can't tell if that's
your finger
like,
looks blurry.
Yeah. I think it's not really gonna focus for me. Take it. Play my hand.
Oh no, you know what? I left it because we focused it before we moved it, I bet.
Gotcha. You want to try autofocus and oh, that looks really good.
I think autofocus is I mean it may
Like I mean that looks really good. So
yeah, so tonight we are talking about several things. We have three things, three subject well really I guess we say four subject matters planned. The first one we're gonna talk about we're gonna wait a little bit. I want to give everybody been on here for 5 minutes, but first thing we're gonna talk about is Turn Clan tech. The reason being that because of all the warring they're involved with for almost 1,000 years now, they because of that war have become the leaders in a lot of different tech, mostly military tech, almost exclusively, I guess, military tech. They build the best guns, they build the best armor, they build the best armaments, or like castle
Yeah.
walls and stuff like that. If you read in Discord the sort of little primer I did earlier today, you'd see that um, castle walls on Kethar are still a thing. Big big block walls are still a thing, and the reason is because they're missing they're missing large quantities of the things that it takes to make gunpowder. And so without those things, they've devised other ways. So what my little history lesson, so what got rid of things like castles important in Europe, um, well, across that continent all the way over to Asia, that those walls stopped being important because of cannonballs. Big knights armor stopped being important because bullets coming out of guns, right? Well, without their ability to have that on Kethar, even though their clothing might look like Old West times, Victorian era, they they don't have six guns. Most people, I should say, don't have like six guns on the hips because it's too hard to get gunpowder going for you. But that also means that the things they've come up with don't knock down castle walls and stuff.
Yeah.
The prominent projectile weapon that they have are rail guns. They're very good at magnets, but the rail guns tend to be using disc projectiles that just don't have the same explosive oomph as when a big hunk of metal, big round piece of metal slams into something. So you still have castle walls and things like that.
Rockfan says that they already have some ideas for
Oh, that's
tech.
awesome. So the one other thing I wanted to mention, go over to my image share. I think I've got this. I do got this. I need to pull it up over here. So you may have also noticed in the post that we've added another content item of developed content for the plane, and that's the LRRG rather, the long range railgun. I put that up so that you guys would have another little primer on what tech is like there, how advanced and how much money they're willing to spend for it too.
Yeah.
It doesn't really, I guess I allude to that. You know, they went to somebody that's a very important jeweler or was a very important jeweler to make that LLRG erg. But anyway, on cryptmonkey.net you'll find that, and then these other content pieces with Devils of the Old World that Dawn wrote a couple of months ago, content on the dog ox and things. We're starting to fill it out there.
Yep. And you will see me kind of go off screen, or like I'll move over off camera over here because I need to get to this angle over here, but you'll also kind of see me working because this my easel kind of takes up all of this space. I have a little section over here. One of my favorite things to do is I'll take my blocks of charcoal, and yes, it's a pumpkin carver, and I'll shave a part of it, and then I can use a paintbrush to kind of put the dust on paper. I really like working with it. You'll see me kind of lean over, and that's what I'm doing, is shaving a block.
Get in the right place. I should section at the rather than doing a new document since we're bouncing around
Yeah.
some subjects that we've already talked about, resources. That is in here. Minerals. Or that isn't specific to something else. Because that's possible. Nope. Minerals are all on its own. We already have fauna section.
Rockman's popping some stuff out for us.
Yeah, I see that. That's why I'm trying to find my spot in the
Gotcha.
notes. Starting with Kern Clan stuff, which means I do need new subject for that. Unless I just, you know what, I'm going to put it under gear, actually. Move things around later. That's not a big gear section. I've got like, but in the general area. All right, so Rock Fan says, I'm not sure I'm going to read this right.
Love
Oh,
those.
no. I do understand now. I read ahead and you beat me to basically medieval bulletproof vests. Yeah, I'll continue reading in just a second. That stuff you read there was from May, just for placement advisors, but now we're able to start releasing it out to folks. But yeah, the vests, they're pretty good at the vests. But what about gas masks? We talked about medical potions before, but what about chemical warfare?
Are you my homie? You knew I was gonna do it.
I didn't actually. It makes sense that you did though. Victorian mustard gas or tear gas for less deadly, less, and then there's a hesitation there, deadly. Um, they eat a bottle and it smashes, the chemicals mix, and boom, gas bombs.
I
Yeah.
like that.
You know, that sounds, they're so mean too. That sounds right up the Kern clan's alley.
It really does.
Like they might not go to the gas first, but
But they're not shy about going
no,
to
I
it.
don't think they'll do much. You know what? I am gonna separate. That I wasn't. Now I'm gonna separate. Sort it out later. This is specific Kern stuff. Everybody can.
Had to message our oldest and tell him to stop texting me right now.
Is that what's going on?
Yeah, because she's like, well, just look at this when you're done. And I'm like, okay, but you're making my phone go bzz, 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 every 5 seconds. You're killing me. You're killing me, kid.
Killing me, Smalls. Keep trying to just use power keys.
I'm fighting the urge to do what I normally do, which is blow the dust off.
Yes, thank you for that. My
Working
office.
very, very hard to not do that. So I will eventually move it down. Because I do like to kind of redistribute the dust as I'm working. Because at the moment, a little bit too much.
Oh wow. Sawdust says, now I've got to say this about the Kern clan. Down here in New Orleans, there is a predominant family bearing the name Kern, bearing the Kern name. Kern family owns Mardi Gras World. Holy crap. And they are the ones who make most of the floats for Mardi Gras. So when you talk about mobile homes to get across the plain, I can't help but visualize a purple, green, and gold Mardi Gras float with some kind of Agdal theme.
That's awesome.
I didn't realize that was a big
That's
family down there. Rockfan says, "What about disguised bunkers, bases?" So one of the things I don't know if we've talked about it. I think we talked about it on stream that they have a tunnel system in lots of areas. Use tunnel systems, and they use that to kind of surround their enemies. You know, their enemies think they're coming up and lining up in front of them, about ready to duke it out, and suddenly there's Kerns behind them, way too fast. You know, so I think this is right in the right building strategy for.
yeah. Considering too the area that they're in and a few other things that we've discussed. Tunneling definitely is their rep.
Wow, I am like having some serious dysfunction on the keyboard.
You're just dysfunctional. Corgis!
Thank you for the 20 bits, Sawdust. We're all different kinds, Storm.
Oh, robots and corgis and hearts. Oh, those are the unicorn ones, aren't they?
Uh-huh.
And the puppies. Puppies, not poopies, puppies. I have a tendency to, yeah, no, guys, no. Um, as Ty's working on getting that note done, I will mention that I did size the famine that we're going to be painting next. I sized it down by 30%, so it's 70% of its original size, but that means that I'll be able to finish it all in one. And also, I ordered some new green paints, so we're going to have some fun new colors. I got a kit from Army Painter, so I will be kind of reviewing that kit as well as painting with the greens from that kit. And I did clarify with Cora, because Cora spent their points for the green theme, and they do mean green theme. They want everything on famine to be green, but they are open to other colors being prevalent, or not prevalent, but there. Just green needs to be. Oh my god, I almost did it.
What?
I was like leaning forward to blow, and it will literally go like that. So I'm not gonna do it. Oh, you've got it highlighted because you're. This works just blowing it down like that. I'm just not used.
Sounds like what you're saying is you're still making a mess on my.
No, I've got a. Well, yes, it's got a ledge right
just
here.
Don't blow it.
But it is coming toward me.
Arriving says it would be a good place to store and transport troops and resources like weapons, ammo, medicine, and rations to various troops. I agree. Like I can see them building a couple of different kinds of these disguised or camouflaged bunkers. Some for storage like this, and some just to lay in wait and ambush smaller parties or capture scouts, that sort of thing.
I could even see them getting some tunnel cats tethered in certain areas. Go out and feed them, make sure they stay alive.
Aye.
But using tunnel cats as traps. Like maybe they don't even keep them tethered. Maybe they've just almost like that wolf domesticated into a dog where, you know, hey, if you stay in this area, you're always fed, regardless.
Oh, like the what are they called? I forgot now. Berry hounds or something. The ones that guard the field and they stay in certain areas.
Yeah, like these, you know, they've caught a few tunnel cats, got them into this area, and then tunnel cats just stay because they're always being fed, whether things are coming into them naturally or, you know, the Kern clan's like, no, we want you to stay. So they have animal specialists that go out and make sure that they're fed regularly. If they
Field pups.
Field pups, that's what I knew there was a word for them, but I couldn't remember.
Yeah, long, straight-haired, domesticable monster of a guard dog. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm reading Watcher Dog. Oops. Wolf-sized, dog-like reptilian creatures that are partially domesticated to protect an area of the field. Back. That's it. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, what you do is you put those tunnel cats then out in front of you when you know they're coming. Then you're back in that disguised camouflage bunker area. You'll hear the cats and stuff growling as people walk in the wrong area. Rockfan says maybe those scouts we talked about being planes Pony Express, but for communication between troops and scouting missions, they own the mail system. Well, the mail system, I'm not sure we could really say we have mail system. In a sense, I guess they do own the mail system. The closest thing to quick communication in any case are the aeroblink, which is what they're fighting so hard to keep control of, are the aeroblinks that only hatch naturally in the Far Eagle Valley, which is sort of in the middle of the Far Eagle Hills. And all of the Far Eagle Hills is the Kern Kingdom. Again, because map on there. Just a moment.
I'm still just making clouds.
That's a little better. So, give a little reference. This area here in the middle, that's the plateau where they actually grow the berries. All of this area is the plain. Not showing quite all of it, but takes up most of the continent. Then off on that northwestern edge of the Far Eagle. So kind of in the right underneath that Y, just about, is the actual Far Eagle Valley in these hills, and that's the only place that the aeroblinks nest naturally. There's I guess I don't it's not really counterfeit. I guess there's some aeroblinks that are bred in captivity and sold, but for the most part, people kind of want to go
these guys
for the aeroblink. That's not discounting what you're saying, though. I think what we're maybe talking about here is a specialized, scout, like you're calling it, right? Messenger system. I know it sounds like
no,
but I'm saying like a
reading,
military message system.
I was reading.
I felt like I went full circle and came back to it, and I said, well, it is different from the mail, but no, I wouldn't say they own that Pony Express thing that we talked about before. I would say they own the trade pretty much on aeroblinks, but that this could be excellent. It's an excellent addition to the things that they perfect.
So Sawdust asked, do the bargain aeroblinks blink to the wrong place or just don't blink as far? So it's more along the lines of, if you think about dog breeding, you've got these purebreds that after a while they have some health issues because they're purebreds and they just have these innate issues. Whereas the natural bred dogs tend to be healthier, and I just dropped my eraser. Tend to be healthier, tend to have the best of the best DNA because they, the ones that are breeding are the fighters and the stronger ones and all of that other kind of stuff. So it's kind of the same thing where with the Kern clan, they're literally going and collecting the eggs that have been naturally produced. They're not breeding them at all. They're just letting them do their thing. And where the Kern clan have set their base is where the aeroblinks were found naturally in the first place. So it's the bargain aeroblinks are less diverse DNA. So, okay, now I gotta go find my.
Yeah, I would say they maybe do have problems like they don't blink as far. I don't know if that's one of the things you mentioned, but
well, that's actually what Keith. Sorry. What Sawdust was saying was maybe they don't blink as far, maybe they blink to the wrong place. So they just have, and I think those things would probably vary per breeder as well. But like the longer you've bred this couple, well,
I think a smart breeder is gonna, like you're just saying, do it for a little while, and then maybe they go and buy a new aeroblink to bring into
new DNA, yeah. So, It's just the natural bred ones are stronger. They're just better.
And I think a big part of it too is just buyer perception.
True.
I mean, there
That
may
would
be
be another
nothing
part of
wrong
it.
with the bred in captivity arrow blink, but you still want that Cadillac of the because you're going to spend a lot of money either way. Thought it says blink and forget to bring the message.
I'm
Well, I mean
here. What
that
do you
there
want?
I could see things like that breaking down too because just to briefly go over it again, they blink very fast, so they fly very fast. They have the capability of blinking, which is uh, using quantum entanglement to throw themselves from their current position to a position they can see near the horizon. So that makes them travel super fast. And they have a parroting ability based on passwords. So I say a password, then I say a message. It flies off to its destination. That person says the correct password, and the message is parroted back to them. Maybe that's another, like they don't remember the whole message or something sometimes. Let me find my. Here we go. For that, Rockfan added that communication is important to keep their army organized. Yeah, which is precisely the reason why they're gonna try to become experts at this sort of thing too. I've been mostly thinking about gear and armaments, and structures, and stuff like that. But communication, if you're the one with better communication, you don't even necessarily need as much as the other guy, right? Playing more as a team, so to speak. Uh, so if you haven't, wait a second. Nope, I was scrolled up. Thought I missed something. So if you haven't been on here before, whenever we're doing the multiple subjects, we can always go back, and we usually do. Um, so as we start to move on, you think of other things for the Turn Clan tech, we will pop right back to it.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad about now we're talking about plants or something, and now we're trying to figure out, or now you've got some other idea about something we previously talked about. That's totally cool. Bring it up anyway, and we will go back to the subject. So that being said, you know what? I'm going to move on to the next thing, and then we'll sort of pause it and come back if you guys are still working on tech ideas. So what we're going to do now, or I'm not. Oh, it was weather next.
Which is a little more appropriate for what I'm drawing.
Yeah. Interesting to look at in my Word document. Turn on clouds now in the background.
Yep. Figured I should get all the background stuff done first before I start to try to bring all this stuff, because this stuff all sits on front of it, or kind of basically sits on top of it. I have a tendency to realize after I've got the details in the front of like, oh yeah, that's complete. I should fix that. Well, now it's a little more difficult.
Difficult. There's weather. So weather is a small enough subject that I'm going to go over what we've already got too. That'll give you guys time to turn anything into chat that you want. Oh, what are you painting now too?
Same thing I've been doing with clouds, using the dust from the chalk and a paintbrush gives me a lot lighter touch, whereas like if I just actually took the chalk and wrote on it, because it's a hard chalk, I'll get a very distinct line, and which is great when I'm drawing a tree, not so much when I'm doing clouds, because I want light and fluffy and air and differences in tones happen. So paintbrush and dust works better than hard line.
Yeah, I've seen you do it before, and I still surprised this time when I saw it.
Well, one of my newer things that I've started doing is after doing this sort of stuff, I'll come back with a little bit of dust and water, basically make my chalk into like a water, the word. Dorky does it.
What is that, water paints?
Not water paint, it's
Yeah, I'm not versed enough to. um, Rockfan says, I wonder if they use a tri-tip or SC. Oh, serrated edges, very nasty and hard to close the wound. Terrible for anyone fighting them. Bayonets with those rough edges.
I would say they would definitely do whatever they could to make sure that they're not getting back.
Yeah, yeah, I think they are probably using that sort of thing.
Watercolor.
Now, what I said?
I said water paint. Watercolor.
Same thing.
No. I don't- But it'll make some really like harsh lines and make it's just a really cool effect to do. Way freaking easy.
I absolutely. They're going to be deadly. They can be for sure.
Well, I mean, we were talking about their medics, and their medics are even like, I don't care if you live, you up and fight.
Right? They're rough. They make the good stuff too. So, guys, feel free to continue to bring it in. I'm going to do a brief summary on already got for weather. And I at the moment I don't have any other ideas, so they will have to come from somebody outside of my head at the moment. Which is funny because of how much we've worked on weather in the last 2 months, mainly in things like uh, the Tempest Master, who's
Yeah.
like the weather person, watches for towns to keep them safe, to call the alarm, so to speak, and the storm keepers who are playable train career. They actually use elements to create storm effects around.
All right. I want to point out one thing that I would normally do at this point is I've got all this shit. Hi, Gareth. I've got all
Hello,
this dust
Gareth.
right here. The perfect way to make rain is take your finger and draw down. But I'm drawing a dust storm. Dust storm and rain don't work, so I have to avoid. Welcome, Gareth. I'm doodling while we are world building.
Um, you know what? I'm not even going to go over to that. I'm going to let everybody watch you do that while I read about the weather because this is perfect. So what we have had so far, we talked about wind. Of course, is going to be on the plane specifically. Is going to be a very normal, like almost constant thing that I think drives some people mad if they're not come to grips with it rather. Um, but we have introduced the idea of acid storms, something that doesn't happen. Oh, that's not actually in, but it's more than a month ago. So happens. You know what? Let me open that up. With acid storms, we also have boiling storms. They're big, super rare storms, and they're terrifying. But they're detectable like a lot of the other weather things, like the weather mice, which are weather rodent. The other name for them, remember?
No, we were just talking about them too.
I don't remember off the top of my head. Oh yeah, we talked about ways like the certain Gareth came up with this actually. Certain way to get out of the boiling storm, get to safety if you're out in the open. You have to dig a certain way so that you're not sort of calling in other burrowing creatures on you, but you can sort of safely get out of that terrible boiling weather. Hopefully, I can find this pretty
My
quickly.
favorite is still the 100-year acids.
And that's what I want to try to see if there's any detail. Acid storm. Remember which month that was, Dawn?
I don't. I don't do. Rock fan has some stuff when you're ready
Okay.
about military.
Not really what month it's not. I'm not crazy, right? We did talk.
No, we've talked about storms before. I really
No,
don't
no, I don't.
remember
I
when.
mean that we put out that we have developed content.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Sworn like acid storm. I feel. Wow, I'm. You know what? Maybe it's just one of those ones I was really like. I was expecting we were gonna do it,
Just never did.
and yeah, like I got excited by something. Switch topics or something. Maybe not that that happened.
That never happened.
I feel absolutely insane right now. I guess that's what happened. Probably I got excited about the one I'm looking at right now, the Tempest Master career, the weatherman. An interesting weatherman. Okay, sorry. Yes, it's about every 100 years or so. Um, that actually it's about every 100 years or so that lots of this really big, frightening weather becomes, in the very least, it becomes more prominent. So now that I've bumbled around, well, see. Okay, back to the Kern stuff. Neat.
All right. So, yep, there you go.
Rockfan says another weird military equipment idea. Have they invented some kind of MRI cheap rations to feed the troops, armies, march on their stomach after all? Oh, yeah, I bet they actually developed this stuff under the keen eye of like a Kern medic or something. It may not
This
be
is
super nutritious, but it's pretty nutritious and it really makes you want to go. I mean, walk.
like clarification there, please.
Yeah, I got you. uh, So Soto says, have we talked about the possibility of a continuous storm that travels around the planet and never stops, much like the
Jupiter.
Jupiter storm? See, that's interesting too, because they wouldn't necessarily be
Even
aware. They'd just be like every so many years, this or months or whatever, this storm comes back. That is a beautiful concept. Make this simpler. I'm going to miscellaneous category. Is it late? I need so badly to like catch up on notes and
Yeah.
stuff like that so that people see what we've talked about. But no, we had not talked about that, even though it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, Gareth says I like that storm idea. That's fun, right? Because I at least at this point I would imagine that they probably wouldn't realize
Yeah.
that that was just the same storm coming back. You know, they're definitely smart enough. They'd say, "Wow, you know, every
100 years.
well, even if it's every like 2 years or something that it takes for it to go all the way around this giant planet, maybe I don't know that they'd still realize, hey, this is repetition occurring here, right?
Yeah, I think they would definitely realize that, but I think it would take a while for them to realize things.
Yeah, that wouldn't be easy to figure out.
Like maybe a scientist puts a weather balloon into the damn storm and it comes back like, hey!
Yeah, but even then, right? Like just another storm picked it up after it went around the planet, right? Uh Rockfan says electrical storms, something to do with all the sand particles being whipped around by the wind, building up electrical charges, creating massive electrical storm. Yes, that. That is groovy. Maybe the electrical storms are a result of some catastrophic failure of some old ancient tech that that screwed the planet's nature, the plane's nature, natural weather. I see. Oh. Natural weather making them extra big, strong, and deadly.
Yeah, because this planet needed help being dead.
That's why we're doing this. It needs help. It needs help doing what it do. I love it. That is two brilliant things. Definitely electrical storms and stuff. We've talked a lot about that. Um, we don't have anything written here in the notes yet about tornadoes or anything like that, but we talk about tornadoes. That's definitely on a massive scale. That's going to be a thing.
Yeah.
Uh, Rockfan says maybe ancient technology made to control the weather made by the original colonists to make the plane more livable, but something went very wrong. Oh, that's a great addendum to
Well,
that note.
it could be not even necessarily something went terribly wrong with it. It's just no one's kept it up.
Yeah, it's just it's breaking down and it's behaving badly, right?
Yeah, it's just it was made to do this job, and no one is making sure it's doing just that job anymore.
I dig it. Stretch a little bit. Mess with my green screen. Oh my gosh. That is really neat.
I mean, it makes perfect sense that they would do that. That they would come in with, let's make this Earth-like weather, and then the system is set up and maintained, and it's not.
Yeah, so maybe originally it was that because the mega weather that they have, it's been tamed by this system. Maybe the system's still taming it. It's starting to mess up everywhere. You can't really get to it in a satellite, right? uh, Rock fan, you're an evil genius. Somebody forgot to turn off the giant. Or is that Gia T? I dig it. Yeah, somebody forgot to turn off the giant. Was that the what is that? The giant? That's oh no, I'm thinking of a computer system in a movie or something. The giant. That's not what the food thing is called in the thing where it rains the
You're talking about cloudy.
cloudy with a chance of
No, that's not what that's
meatballs.
called.
I'm having cell phone issues. Well, we appreciate you hanging around anyway with the cell phone issues. I'm probably having comprehension issues.
We always are.
I'm like really wore out already. I mean, I'm excited about what we're doing here, but I'm tired already today. Somebody forgot to turn off the giant magnifying glass and orbit define glass and in orbit.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, something like that.
Can't remember what that machine was called from Cloudy now.
Oh my goodness. For you guys that didn't pop around last night while we were streaming last night, we dropped Gareth, you've already heard it, but the first, well, it's two firsts for that campfire story. It was the first campfire story that was written for the plane, and the audio that I dropped on Cathar General channel in the plane category was also the first audio recording we did for a story. So,
and I'm going to record the next one.
Yeah, and Dawn's recording the next one, which was in our newsletter. Gareth, you should have already gotten access to that, or you have had that. That's going to be the next audio. Stupid phone can't even figure out what I'm saying when I speak to text. Saddest. Maybe you're saying it funny. That's not the good. I should have said, well, that's what you get when you buy a phone from France. Doesn't understand what he's saying.
I'm going straight to IT crowd.
The help desk guy. Gareth says, okay, I will have to check it out here soon. Yeah, I think it was just last night or the night before.
Yeah, it was not long ago.
But I hit my
you got shocked or something.
No, yeah, that was the campfire story, the one we're talking about now. It's the campfire story for the newsletters, what I'm trying to say. It's a fun one if you haven't looked at it too yet. I'm happy with it because instead of doing classified ads and stuff like that for the excerpt from the Longshore Courier, we actually wrote several stories. So you're seeing like an excerpt, newspaper, actual articles. Toto says, okay, now I'm on the computer. No guarantee that I will spell correctly, but at least I will be coherent. Well, we'll be the judge. I'm just kidding. You're going to be coherent. I don't know why you got to be different from the rest of us.
No, that's what I was thinking.
Oh.
Well, you got to be so special.
Well, yeah, it's ish. So now I understand. Yeah, so weather things. We can certainly go back to Kern Tech was the first subject. Next, let me check to make sure I'm not lying. I'm looking at the wrong post.
Oh, dare you.
So we are going to be talking about natural resources next, but specifically we want to start with any resources that you can find underwater.
Because
you want me to say why? Because we one of the things that we're doing for subscribers this month, river crawler, and
I was trying to get you without looking, and you look.
I didn't see it. I sort of locked up. 8 months.
Holy crap, Gareth! That's awesome.
Our mega subscriber. Boom.
Oh, that was awesome too. That was a huge.
That was a big one. They made it heavier because it's the 8th month.
Yeah, they went like crazy wild.
Thank you for 8 months subscribing, Gareth.
Yes.
Very much appreciated.
I keep putting my pencils down every which way.
Okay. So Rockman says, since this could technically count as a post-apocalyptic world, I just like the idea of the technology colonists probably brought to terraform the planet to make it livable for humans going wrong. I do too.
I do too.
Yeah. Yeah. And certainly from the adventuring side, you can imagine that quests and some of the campaign modules and stuff like that, we're gonna have that might be some of the sort of, I don't, holy grail stuff that adventurers would be searching for trying to find and have to fight their way to get to, and they may not even realize it's ancient tech. But yeah, we love that idea too. And you know, I'm going to add that as a note, because it's a good note to remind us over and over. I think we have it's out in the middle, of course, of everything. Yeah, that's good to know that other people are thinking the same sort of thing, that would be fun to be, kind of a fantasy barbarian type person or whatever. But what you're looking for is 3,000-year-old electronics,
I found an iPhone. Throw it away.
That'd probably be more like 5,000 years. Yeah, okay. Actually, no, it wouldn't. Be just a little over 3. Hey. Ruffin adds, or failing after centuries of being forgotten with no upkeep. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't want to blow anything, but if you haven't read the Dragon Riders of Pern, which starts out seeming completely fantasy based, after several novels ends up being, this isn't sci-fi fantasy, this is also really like, it's sci-fi. They have some interesting things like that as well on Pern. Garrett says, always guys, love the support and love to support you. Well, we certainly, and speaking of support, we will be rating to Gareth, assuming, I believe he is. Yeah, he retweeted me earlier, so I believe he is going to be painting minis here in an hour. So we'll be rating over there.
It honestly feels like super weird to not be painting.
Yeah,
it
but are
really
you
does.
enjoying it?
Oh yeah, I'm in my own little world over here. So
Gareth says maybe that's why the continual storm keeps going, because the terraforming tech. I think those things go together.
I absolutely
really
do.
well. I mean, yeah. And yes, Gareth is.
Oh, and just in case you're wondering, this is just, and it's got refillable pieces.
I wish I was an art doer, just because you guys have cool.
In regard for an art doer or not.
Yeah, but I'll use it for something weird, like
and
holding up the corner of a table or.
And just so you guys have a scale of this storm, that's a full-grown tree. Or giant. That's the scale of the storm.
It's huge. That storm's gonna be huge. Friggin' huge, dude.
Ethereal crusher.
Rockman said.
There we go. There's a new line for you guys. Trivia.
What?
Serial crusher with a New York accent. Figure out that movie, and you will get a present.
I don't know this one. Did you know I wasn't going to know it?
No, I didn't. I assumed you would know it. You were just doing the accent from it.
I would that
Freaking
no, I was doing a really
huge.
bad Trump accent is what I was doing.
Oh, okay.
It's huge. Telling you, it's like nothing before. It's huge. Um so Rockfan asks, natural resources underwater, plants for food and medicine. Yeah. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff we're looking for. Food, medicine, uh industrial processes. Yeah. Uh the stuff that we have now, we know we have kelp at the oceans, stuff like that, but we have that big Cathar's tier, that inland freshwater sea to play with,
You want to pull the
big
map back up, baby?
rivers. That's
Oh,
not
that's not on the map.
on that. Next month, we'll have an updated map that we can share that will have Cathar's tier, like that, a bunch of other stuff too. A snail.
You're a snail.
Sails, sea urchins, squids, and underwater animate used for dyes and poison. Okay, here we go. Yeah, and that's kind of what we're looking for, guys. Is stuff that says like what did I not read it completely?
No,
That sounded
I'm
funny.
reading Gareth. I'm reading ahead, and it just
Get good doing the art, Ty. Then you can makes the good art for the good arts. That's getting good arting after you get good. Okay, sound advice. All right, let me read this one completely because this is the kind of stuff we're looking for, specifics like this plant that does blah, blah, blah. But this has a point at the end here that I think is poisons. I've kind of thought about the dyes, though. I mean, these are just important things
yeah.
to human beings that I haven't even really considered.
No.
But so the whole thing, Rock Fan said, I'm going to finally read the whole thing. Sales. Well, I'm not sure what sales is. I don't know if that's misspelled or if it's a thing. Oh, snails. Is that the snails thing? Maybe sea urchin, squids, and other water animals used for dyes and poisons. I love it. And I need to find a spot. Because this is gonna go all the way at the mixed up all the other stuff with like got plants mixed up with minerals and all that stuff.
Can I answer Gareth while you're doing?
If you read the question,
Gareth says, and what was the thing Dawn said? So it's from a movie, and the line is done way better than this, but I can't do a New York accent. So it is, um, he's freaking huge. He's a serial crusher. I can't do an accent. That's it.
that sounded a little familiar. I must know the movie, otherwise you wouldn't have said that.
I will. This doesn't help anybody else, but Tyler, it's one of my favorite movies. I rewatch this movie all the freaking time. You're not part of this game.
Legally Blonde.
No, I have good taste in. You have a missing question. So Sawdust says, how about this traveling storm isn't the result of terraforming, but rather the terraforming was trying to get rid of it. Within the storm is separate ecosystem. Oh, love that. A separate ecosystem. Not only does it bring the acid rain, but the flying, floating creatures that stay in the storm and bring them with their own dangers. I really kind of. Oh, I skipped that one.
Yeah, let me get Rockfan, because I'm in the right spot, right? Rockfan says maybe they encourage the growth of barnacle-like creatures to make a natural armor. Ooh, that would almost like mix with the Kern Clan stuff too, right? They're the ones paying people to go way out there and get it from big bodies of water. Okay. much. Whoops. Oopsie.
Whoopsie-doo.
Oh, wait, let me get this one while I'm right here, too, because it takes a while to get around. Rockfan also said, I know in real life there was a really rare clam or something for the purple dye. That's right. It was some kind of shellfish, I think, that made the royal purple or whatever for the Egyptians. Purple dye was exclusive to royalty for centuries because it was expensive. Let me grab sawdust stuff for the weather because that's friggin' killer. That's a killer idea.
Gareth got it.
Oh, for me, no
I love you, Gareth.
Here.
Yes, it was Boondock Saints.
Oh. We just watched that. You probably just said that.
No, I said I watch it all the time. Basically, anytime I see it available to watch, I watch it. Freaking love.
That's it. Yep. By some huge friggin' guy. He's sending you duckies and kisses.
Shit.
Rock. Okay. So, oh. I was showing things on this. I think anybody noticed. Oh,
Everybody noticed.
Gotta be careful right there. I had did you see that, Dawn?
No,
It's
I'm reading
stuff on the screen that isn't supposed to be on the screen.
I was reading more of Gareth's. He's doing more quotes from Boondocks.
Guy was huge. 300 to 400 fucking huge. Pounds, you fucking huge. 300 to 400, that's a big range, though. I mean, what if he's 3 or 4 pounds? That doesn't mean nothing.
That was such. All right. Anyway, back on to. So Gareth, you get a prize. I have no idea what that is yet. I'll come up with something.
And that's fun. It's really fun, Sawdust. You guys are coming up with some winners tonight.
As opposed to normally they come up with losers? Is that what you're saying? That's freaking wrong, man.
No. There always seems to be base hits, right? Guys are knocking them out the park tonight, since we're going to stick with that. The huge hits, knocking them out of the park.
I don't want to stick with that. I can't do a New York accent. It's horrible. Sounds so bad.
I kind of was mixing New York and Boston anyway. So.
Everyone in New York is going, that's not New York. No.
You're right.
No. And everyone else is going, it's not us either, dude.
Gareth says he hits the guy with the bandage on his head. Why? Because he's smart. He knows the guy with the bandage on his ass. He ain't going nowhere. Where are you going? Nowhere. That's right.
Yeah, but he leans down and is like, nowhere. I love that fucking movie. Gareth, stop. We got to focus.
Incidentally, that movie's in Boston anyway.
I told you. Everyone's like, no, not us.
I was like, why did I start to say park the car and stuff? Oh, it's because we were talking about Boondock Saints, which is not in New York.
I'm a geographical oddity.
Exactly. 2 weeks from everywhere.
Yeah.
We just did another one. Anybody guess that one?
Oh, yeah, there
Geographical oddity. 2 weeks from everywhere.
Another prize up for grabs. We still don't know what
Another
the prizes
prize.
are.
Are we doing prizes? What?
Yes, I told Gareth he's gonna get a prize, or I said you're gonna get a prize if you figure out that movie, because that really was like completely obscure part of that movie. Um, Gareth got it, so I'm impressed. So he's gonna get a prize. I have no
Really?
idea what the prize.
Rockfan says, I wonder if there are also sea creatures that are food delicacies that are big money, as eating it has bragging rights for the rich. Hey. Super rich kid whose family originally. What's the matter?
The cord just moved. I was like, did I just knock something down? What?
You oh, I think it knocked something down. It was nothing you can see, but
Okay, cool.
the black backing that in front of you. Uh, some rich kid, or whatever, grandkid or whatever, his family came off of the
Gareth got it.
off of the plane, and they're just like, "Hey, good one, Gareth." Uh, just spending money to spend money,
Yeah.
and that this is like really hard. That's why you want them bragging rights. I gotta put this on. Oh, the resources. Derp.
Rock fan is on the ball on keeping us on task.
Doing better than me at it, right? That's good.
I love the effect. Hate the noise these. I don't even really like the tech.
Rock fan says like caviar, lobster, big tuna, puffer fish. Yeah, we have some ideas for that. I mean, one of them could be. Did we release? When do we get to release the story? Oh, maybe like the creature that's mentioned in the campfire story. We released the audio for last night.
Yeah.
It's pronounced lobster. That's what Gareth said.
Hey, dude. No, not okay. No shaking the table.
Lobster.
Oh, and I don't know if we've actually mentioned this or not, but once this is finished, we will be like taking a nice picture of it and putting it out on cryptmonkey.net for crowd forgers.
Well,
Or
no,
just,
no. We're gonna stuff it away, so only CrowdForgers can have it for a
that's what I
while.
meant.
Oh yeah, so it'll be in a OneCloud directory,
Oh, okay.
and we'll drop a password and URL for you guys on Discord so that you can snag it. I'm gonna actually. Oh my gosh, been away for a while. There's a whole bunch of stuff there.
Got a little rocky outcropping happen down here. Big tree back there. Just basically a few little things. Because the plane is really kind of sparse of trees. I mean, you've got your cops and stuff like that, but I didn't want to go overboard. But I needed something to put that in scale.
Are these sort of like almost geyser or volcanic depressions you made there? They look like dips on top of your hill next to the tree. Yeah, like around there.
I always kind of like to do that, of like kind of little flat topped rock hilly corner kind of thing. It's the way I draw the hills because I don't like.
Well, the the landscape there reminds me of a certain place in my warped mind of the different places on the plain. That looks like an area just west of um, Miriscar, the Big Canyon,
Mm.
southeast portion. Oh, here I've got that is not labeled. I don't think, but it is this map right here. Yeah, that's Miriscar. It's
Yeah.
huge. It's enormous canyon. Got its own ecosystem down in that scary thing. So that reminds me of just west that canyon, and kind of looks a little scarier than the rest of the. Garrett says, "Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot."
I will be getting back to the actual minute because that's not even done yet. A lot of this other stuff is kind of getting to the finish.
So usually it's
I do need a time check.
It's 10 till 9. Usually we're doing the Norse words. Apparently we're going to do a lot of Boston accent stuff. So Rockfan says, also, no park in the car in the Harvard yard. It's not wicked, pisser. Go Red Sox. Kara says, can fit about 5 Grand Canyons in this bread boy. Yeah, no kidding. And that's the thing. I'm going to have to figure out some actual relational stuff on some of these things pretty soon as this map is growing. Raffian says, it feels like media has been taking shots at Boston more often and saying Mass is full of jerks or snooty people. They're not wrong. Okay, I didn't see that they're not wrong coming. Yeah. Uh, okay. Go on. Didn't you have an idea? Or something underwater? Or are you saving that for the dock?
I had multiples, but I'm not sure which ones I'm supposed to say.
Just pick one and we can talk about it. We don't do all of them. Well, I don't know what that means. I know we talked about stuff, but
in here.
Yeah, you're talking about the big edible. Yeah, talk about that one. That's fun.
So we were discussing the land or the crawler.
The river crawler.
The river crawler. And it made me think of maybe those I think Ty, you named the fish. It's a grouper. No, that's not a grouper.
Oh, the one that you base it on?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were talking about the flounder.
Flounder, that's what it is. So it's a giant fish. I mean, flounders are large, but they're
just large, yeah.
They lay flat and they have both eyes on one side of their body because they always lay with one side down. So I was kind of thinking that in Mira's Tier, they've got something like that is that lays flat on the ground, and even because it's always at the really far bottom, fishing doesn't get it. It doesn't care about floating things up there. It eats off the bottom. So when people can go down into Mira's Tier, they are what's the name of it? The lake.
Oh, Cathar's Tier?
Cathar's Tier. So I was thinking that it's this big, giant freaking fish that is delicious. It's absolutely wonderful to eat. And one of them goes a really long way, and it makes the most amazing fish jerky. But they are really, really hard to fish for if you're not like in the water, like way down deep in the water to get them. Thought that would be like super fun.
Sawdust, I did actually take that partial idea that underwater restaurant, and I've got it under miscellaneous notes because because it sort of lines up with what I was about to say about Longshore. So you might be wondering, why the hell are they using something called a river crawler in big lake like Cathar's Tier? And that's because Longshore is a very important and a lot of wealthy people in the city, and they are always pretty quick to spend money on things that will help them use the lake even more, right? To make more money off of the lake. So this river crawler, I'll say this much, is like a new thing. And that may be something we said to begin with. I don't remember. I don't have those specific notes that came up. But it's kind of a new thing, and some people are investing in making river crawlers to utilize the lake more. And the reason I took your note for underwater restaurant, I'm like, I can just totally see some super wealthy guy saying, you know what, I'm going to buy this whole chunk of shore and we're going to make an underwater thing.
Yeah.
Maybe based on information they find from this new equipment, the river crawler. So even though the river crawler was made originally for rivers, they're like, it's water. You're just going to use it here. Sawdust, you said, I got it wrong, didn't I? I'm not sure I understand that. If you mean the suggestion doesn't fit, it fits for miscellaneous. I like the idea. Rockfan says, do some towns, cities, or regions have specific seafood they're famous for? Like Mass has codfish and Maine has lobster. You know, we haven't actually talked about that. That's a neat subject too. What places are famous for, and oftentimes it is food, right? Seafood is a little bit like there's some seafood and even some seafood jerky that makes it years inland from the sea. The one thing that they haven't had a lot of experience with is like big seafood game. You know, that they don't have things like swordfish and stuff like that because, for the most part anyway, because of the kelp forest. Oh, let me bring up the map again. There we go. Now there's the map. So you kind of notice on each side, each coast, see has this. I see it on. So each side it looks like trees or whatever. That's that kelp forest that almost wraps the continent at the oceans, capped in on there. Because for anybody that wasn't around when we talked about the kelp before, it's kelp that grows in big tree trunk sized trunks. And it's like regular kelp until it gets to the top of the water. It's flexible. And then after that, it keeps growing, unlike kelp here on Earth. It keeps growing above the water into big trees, essentially. And the trees are hardened by the sun, air outside of the water. And so these forests kind of sway like that. But they're very thick, like many, many miles. On average, they're 50 miles or more thick, I think is what we said. Something like that.
Something crazy.
Some big number. So they don't have like a lot of large sailing vessels going out. They don't do that a lot. They've got kelp boats that are basically mechanical crawlers. They can float whenever they hit spots of just water, but they also have these big wheels that they drag themselves through the kelp and stuff. Anyway, all of that to say, we haven't talked about the food yet. But as far as seafood goes, certainly there is one place right over here on the far eastern side of near Delal. That's it's not labeled on this map, but that's Blazin.
Mm-hmm.
So Blazin, we think, wouldn't necessarily have the food that the campfire story that Mark's in is about. That way, I mean, not yet anyway. But I'm sure they're using seafood and stuff from fish caught within the kelp forest. So I said all that. Now let me take you. Garrett says, like wicked deep down there. Donna says, okay, Tom, hold your breath. I'm going to throw you in. Go get that fish. If I'm Tom, I'm like, no, not doing that. uh, so we're going to. Here we go. Yeah, I think that's especially if you think about the trade, sort of like what Rockfan mentioned earlier, where you might have and even though it's a miscellaneous thing that I just added for sawdust, all of those things kind of go together too, where you've got the really rare food that the rich people want, brag that they got to eat it, and maybe it's served in that underwater restaurant at Lakeshore or
Yeah.
Longshore. Sorry. Thank you for the
Thank you for the
44
bit.
bits. Oh my gosh. Doop-a-doo.
Just dum 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 dum. They just
Now
keep
I'm starting to think
going.
you've got like a measuring device to fill it exactly just below the rim.
I think he probably does.
uh, Raffin says, do they use the kelp trees to make paper products if they harden like wood? So they like to use, so the one thing we have talked about is that the sap and the parts of the plant are kind of fire resistant. And I think we talked about them being useful for acid storms as well, right?
Yes.
So that's the two things we've talked about so far is that they they help with fire resistance. So they're used in some building materials for people that can afford to have them hauled out. You know, it's probably not found a whole lot. I don't know. We have talked about some people in the plain, if they started with enough money, have it, or richer people in the cities around the plateau.
Yeah, and we've talked about even basically some of the people who live like specifically in Blazon area, they've actually gone out there to start their own logging company for the kelp.
Yeah.
So
That's why those boats were made too, I think, is what we were originally talking about.
it is an industry that is developing, but we haven't worked on it a whole lot. Sorry, getting the trying to get my lightning in means I need to get erasing, but I also then have to get all the little erasing pieces.
Yeah, I would say like Blazon, everything that looks like wood is probably kelp. Unless there's some other reason, some other feature of specifically to wood that they need something to be made out of wood, they're probably going to use the kelp because it's pretty
Readily
bountiful.
available, yeah.
It's right there next to them.
The only issue is sometimes it can be difficult to get.
I mean, we were getting real specific when we first started. I don't think that was on stream. I think that was just you and me,
Us.
maybe like shingles. Like maybe somebody just has the money to buy the shingles to put on their roof to make their roof at least fire retardant, safe from the acid storm.
Yeah. Because the kelp forest was actually developed while we were driving to go see Ty's family.
Yeah. Same time you were writing that first campfire story. Hmm. Yeah, I feel like I'm waiting too long to switch because we pop over and I look at it on the big screen. I'm like, hey, I missed a bunch of stuff.
Kind of centered again. Kind of shifted over and I didn't even realize that habit. I kind of typically move stuff around. Oh, I only did it once. I only did it once. Blew the dust out of my face.
How many times did I say it?
I only did it the one time though.
Killer ideas. Rack. There's just making sure that I don't fall asleep leaning. Rockfan says if the sap is fire resistant, some people harvest it like tree sap, but use it to make some kind of fire resistant lacquer people use to protect stuff. That's almost exactly what we were talking about. That oh,
Except you really wouldn't want to go out and harvest just the sap. You'd want to.
I think I messed this up though. Wasn't that that was the candle burning stuff, but it was the bark, the wood that was fire resistant. The sap is actually used as a candle fuel. Sorry, guys. Messed that up.
We've got notes on it, but regardless, it's
But something else could do that.
yeah. To Rock Fan's point, the kelp is not something that you want to, kind of go out and harvest just this portion. Basically, you want to cut it down and you want to take it and you want to go. You don't really want to be out there.
Yeah, they don't really want to stay in the kelp forest long. It's creepy if nothing else is going on.
It's creepy. It's also, like we were saying, it can go. I actually think like the longest one is hundreds of miles offshore. But imagine, you're going into the woods, but you're walking on some of the kelp, and it's so thick that you can walk on it, but it's also so thick that it's in areas it's like being in the woods where it gets really dark even though it's midday. You still really can't see in here, and you're walking over deep water.
And yeah, and you don't know if you're going to hit a spot that's thinner. You might fall right through.
Yeah, so it's not something that you want to. It's not a vacation spot.
No,
at all. It's a get my shit and get the hell back sort of situation.
I'm adding that note from Rock Fan because I misspoke and said that the sap was also fire retardant, but that's not right. They use it for candles. However, this that could be applied to some other underwater plant. What if we split it? Sap,
What's the difference?
Sap below the water is fire resistant. Sap above it is for candles.
Well, that makes sense too, because of the way we've been handling it or the rest of the tree is very different below from above. So that it makes sense that it would be that way.
I like it. Like it. Okay. Ooh. Yeah, I think Gareth said it was too quiet, too comfortable. Yes, dear. Oh, sorry, Gareth.
Same difference.
Soda says, if you want, I've got a backcountry way of fishing that could be applied to rural dwellers of the plain. Instead of fishing, I call it getting fish. I use a shovel and a bucket to get a bunch of red ants.
Nope, I'm already done.
I'm afraid to keep reading. For anybody that doesn't know, red ants in Louisiana are terrible. I hate fire ants. Throw the ants into the water, and if the fish are there, they will boil. You can almost just scoop them out. If they don't boil, then they're not there. Move to a different spot. Is this a real thing? Is this a real thing, Sawdust? I mean, I'm not discounting that could absolutely be real, because I hear the weird thing of Cajuns telling me how they went gator hunting with sticks and stuff. That's wild. I did it all the time. Holy cow. Okay, where does this go? This is for water resources. We're in the right place. That's crazy. I mean, I don't blame the fish if they're boiling up or whatever.
Like, no. I'm the ants are here. I'm out.
No, I think, well, they're eating them, right? That's what you mean, is they're boiling up and they're trying to get all the fish, right? That's a great way to get rid of fire ants, I guess, if they're not going to get out of the bucket and on you.
Done. Out.
Awesome. Fan says getting sap would be easier than cutting down a kelp tree. Well, you know what? That's a good point, I think, for above the water line. For below the water line, it may be a dangerous task, right?
Yeah.
Depending on which kind of sap you're collecting. I really like this two different kinds of sap in the same plant thing. Uh, Thought us dragon. I'm sorry. Rockman says, I wonder what deep water creatures live under the kelp that adapted to little to no light. The deep sea on Earth has horrific creatures deep down. The anglerfish and goblin shark. No kidding. Those guys are wild looking.
Yeah, there are quite a few um very not good things being developed.
And then I think this is in reference to the ant. No. Didn't even have time for a period. Just no. Oda says, yes, the fish eat the ants.
Nope.
Oda says, I can just imagine cutting down a kelp tree. When it falls, it could rip the ground and take you. Rip the ground.
It
Holy
breaks through,
God.
and then you go with it. Yeah.
That's a oh, crap.
Night creep show.
See you, Creep Show. Thanks for hanging out. Heart attack. Oh my gosh.
Hate this way.
I know you're probably going to ask me pretty soon anyway. Is 9:12 are creeping up fairly quickly.
I am close to ready to just call it done.
I thought you were going to sing it.
No, I decided I'm not going. I thought about putting some tentacles coming out, but I haven't. The tentacles that they would be using are really kind of they're jellyfish. They're very screwy. Would be very hard to show. I'm already having trouble getting the lightning.
Yeah, I kind of see where it's at there.
So I don't think I'm going. I'm going to stick to just the masses.
And I'm making a call right now. This is like just west of Scar on the plane. Announcements. I mean, we've made it. Oh,
I got him.
at you. Oh, let's see. Rockin says, I wonder if some company will start making ships cut through the kelp, like the ships that cut through the ice in the North and South Poles for fishing. Well, they have the big, I call them boats, but they're really like small ships that the logging crews and anybody else that's going out there to do anything in the forest, so they can already, and they kind of like, they float like a regular boat, but yeah, to your point, they wouldn't be good for like a long sea. And what I'm doing right at this moment is sort of tempering that. We're definitely going to use the large ship seagoing thing, but for the moment, I think they worry about it because they think, man, this world we live on is so big. What if there's nothing out there and we can never get back and there's no, you know what I mean? They have based on the size of this planet, they have a lot of things to be afraid of. But we can still spout ideas about it because eventually somebody's going to be like, no, we're just doing it. We're going to pull that slot machine handle and see what comes out, right? And I don't know why that mentioning the North and South Poles, Rock fan mentioned there, it reminds me too that we should do this same sort of thing for other areas. Like we have Yuck up in that's the northern wastes. Up in this northern part is called Yuck. what is commonly called, but it's the northern wastes. They have resources up there that we already know about, but then we can come up with some new stuff too. I imagine, in my imagination, that's where those walking cactus come from.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Where they would be.
I think I mistaken. I copied the notes and then
So maybe that's what we should focus on next week.
like anything in Yuck, right? We just say
Right.
we'll start with resources or whatever, but what else might be flora, fauna, whatever? Well, flora would be, but hey, maybe some of the fauna is resources. Things in Yuck. Okay. Soda says the predator prey relationship between critters of water versus uh, critters that would live in the forest above. Predator becomes prey in a heartbeat. The fish out of water idea, saying that.
Yeah, it's who would win in a fight, a lion or a shark? Well, it depends on where they're fighting.
Yeah. And because they're like no more modern than say Victorians, Victorian era people on Earth, they probably do have a lot of. Hey, you think a unicorn is big? I've heard tell of like sea creatures that take a day to walk across or something, which may be a thing. Rockfan
I
says,
caught a sea monster this big.
Rockfan says humans can destroy any environment if we get greedy enough. Risk be damned. Yeah, I mean that's true. You just have to get the person who's brave enough to try to go win it, right? Yeah, and I'm not saying that they're not going to go there. I'm saying we're when, about the time we start doing the gaming stuff is when I'd like to start. Yeah, now people are going to do this, that it's so super brand new. You notice we say that about a lot of things. Like this is brand new and this is brand new. And I think that's important so that there's lots of things that everybody's unaware of in the world when you join it. Suda says, to the idea of having a ship that cuts through the kelp forest, how about over the past several years, a team has been slowly cutting down a path or just the top portion of the forest, using the materials from the forest to create a sort of really long floating pier. That's cool. The idea would be to finally make the ocean accessible. Yeah, that might be that introduction to we're going to do this now, right?
Sorry, I'm
Thinking of things you have to wait and tell me later.
I'm just no, I'm just I know things that would.
I mean, okay, so right there, I can see an adventuring party joining the crew that's trying to cut this path, almost like cutting the railroad across the United States or something.
Right.
They're trying to cut this path through there, and they've been hired to protect the crew just because it's that bad. I mean, it's going to be that bad when you're trying to do something like this. Rockfan says, I wonder if there are ambush predators that hide under the kelp that people are scared of when walking in the kelp forest. Absolutely, there's going to be that. When we were talking about like falling through, that's what I was thinking. Like, we've got trapdoor spiders and we've got water spiders. What about a water trapdoor spider?
Yes.
You like that idea?
Absolutely hate it. Perfect.
I'm gonna add my note to Sada or Rockfan's note there on that one. Love it. Sutta says, Dawn has something in mind that will cause chaos with what I just said. Imagine so. Rockfan says, kill the spire! And it's all caps, so I'm imagining that there's already a blowtorch in her hand.
No, grenade.
A grenade.
Grenades.
Uh-huh.
Flamethrowers. Another thing that is extremely useful is mustard gas.
I have to go back to what you're saying in just a second. Rockfan says, I don't care how flameproof that kelp is. I will burn it all to kill a giant spider.
I will burn it all to kill any
Little
spider.
spider.
I could give a shit less what size.
There used to be a forest here. What happened? Dawn, little spider. What were you saying about mustard gas, Dawn?
Useful in killing spiders. Napalm.
I thought it was something for the plane. No, you're just
It
talking
is.
about household pest control. Uh, yeah.
So I finally got around to doing the wetting my dust. I'm using it now. Kind of, it texturally gives a much bigger difference between the rocks and the trees versus the floofy.
And says, I will invent the nuke to kill a spider. Lotta says, mustard gas pairs well with mayonnaise gas.
You know, I can be very mean right now. The best thing to kill a spider is to just simply let Ty have Burger King.
You must like spiders better than I thought, because you never let me have Burger King.
Because we don't have spiders in the house. If you had spiders in the house, you could have Burger King. Sleep in a gas mask.
Oh, right. Why we're here, folks. Many painting, crowd forging, and
Spider killing
hashtag
advice.
fart jokes. So it is 9:23. Gareth will be on tonight, so we're gonna be raiding over there again soon. So if you have any last minute ideas, now is the time to get them in. I think not tonight. I want to talk once more about it, but we are going to be making an announcement pretty soon with regards to the kind of content that we're gonna, like, specific kind of. We already said we're gonna do short stories and tabletop game materials. Write that for the. But we might be breaking that up a little bit more too, actually. So pretty soon we're probably gonna make an what those tend probably. Sada says, speaking of fart jokes, can you imagine the off-gassing from the decomposing material from the upper kelp forests? I hadn't thought of anything like that. No, I hadn't. Hadn't imagined it. Rockfan said, death to spiders. That's my last input. Keeping the whole speaking of fart joke. See it later. Remember that?
Because you're two. Welcome back.
Welcome back, Gareth.
You missed all the fart jokes.
They were deadly, but not silent.
While you were gone, we behaved like 2-year-olds.
Lotta says it was Quackers. Pretty sure that's Quakers. Got there. It was Quakers fighting up the place. What? That seems unfair. Garrus is OT. Oh boy. See where you're at again here. Oh, nice.
I went ahead and put a little bit of hints at the cliff kind of area that I know that you're imagining that.
Oh, yeah, you're putting it closer than I even was thinking. It's like a big land area there that's a little different, a little creepier. It's sort of warning you that you're walking into something that could be spooky. Sada says, I do remember that I said my spelling was suspect. Yeah, but you're your computer now, so I'm just assuming that you're attacking the Quakers for no reason.
No, he said when he got to his computer, now it was going to be suspect because he wasn't using the text to speech.
I don't think that's what he's. No.
Yes.
No, he said, I'm at my computer now, but that doesn't mean I'm going to spell right.
Stop shaking the desk.
But it's my desk.
I'm going to kill you. I'm literally just fiddling it. Because I did sign my name right there. And then I was like, you know what? I'll keep doing stuff. Well,
So Gareth, while you were going, we were mentioning that we're talking about different content types. That's actually in the newsletter. We're not making the announcement quite yet, but we're pretty close. So maybe next stream or the stream talk about the current. It does become the current plan, or what kinds of content we're releasing. Specifically, we're talking about like the stories. So far, we've just talked about short stories. Thinking some other stuff too. Ruffian says, speaking of Dawn's lovely drawing, I wonder what kind of environments grow on these behemoths.
well, you will see very soon because one of the things for content release for this month is the drawings I've been doing of the jelly or the sky jellies. You'll know soon.
So 2 months. We gotta wait. Well, whatever that comes out, that's like 3 months at the moment. But because we'll release subscriber content 2 months after the end of that month, so it comes out to like 3 months. Sada says, Dawn in the dust storm, I see faces, specifically the Gru from Zork.
I can't find it.
Zork! I get so excited.
I was reading that and I don't know where it is. I can't find it. Gru storm.
Rockfan says, Little Forest, yeah, they are like what do you call that? A cops, more like a real cops because the creatures aren't quite as big enough to be a forest, as far as we know, at least. But yeah, it looks like little forests up there growing on their backs, little islands with forests. Soda says, a Gru storm. I'm running. I'm pointing at it. Rockfan says, imagine a cult of people who somehow made a town on a sky jelly. That's interesting.
I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and make my lightning not white. Really just displeased with the fact that it's
like people living on a giant turtle. You said lion turtle, but I'm assuming you mean the giant turtles where we have the one's a village on the base of the turtles.
Or they may be referring to Avatar. Lion turtle.
I am not familiar.
It's right at the end.
Okay. So I would have only watched it once.
Oh, well, and there wasn't anybody living on
there. But we do have that with our giant turtles.
Yes.
We've got one village who found it was a dead turtle's remains, so they found a way to make the base, the bottom flat part of the shell, float and go in the directions they want and stuff like that. And then a few other people who are traveling merchants that have a fairly domesticated giant turtle. It is 9:31.
I want to play Mario Brothers. And get the lightning to show up. I don't want to make it not white. I do have a white chalk pencil. Don't have it over here. I come in with. The nice thing is using the chalk doesn't necessarily make it any brighter right here. But what it will do is make it shine when I take a photo of it.
Gareth is on, so I'm going to get these last bit of notes. Rock says maybe they created a symbiotic relationship with the jelly, like the birds that ticks off animals or clean crocodiles' teeth. And yes, that was an Avatar reference. I don't want to say too much. We have some things in mind. I'm gonna take your note and see how it influences those things. And that's gonna have to go in. Where's that gonna go?
Put it in miscellaneous for now.
We don't have. Do we have a jellyfish? Oh.
We don't have one that's. Oh, Sawdust put a picture in Discord if here's what I'm talking about. That's exactly where I was looking too, and I'm like, I don't think he'd be. But yeah.
Have an entry for Sky Jelly.
No, I didn't think we did.
We must have been talking about other things. Well, I'm gonna add Sky Jelly to our. Seems weird to me that.
I think they might be in a different note because it's way back.
I know where you and I started talking about. Well, obviously we were talking about thought of the plane, but
yeah, but it
drawing
was
them already.
It's at one point we were streaming, and we started talking, and then both of us were just kind of like, and I went and grabbed the picture.
There we go. That makes me. Liquid Metal 25 says, looks like a cool idea. I'm at work. Hey, well, thanks for hanging out, watching us at work. It's on YouTube as well. Thanks, Liquid Metal.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, we're getting close to the end now, but if you can join us another time, we're crowd forging this with folks to build this world. Calling it the plane right now. So.
Oh shit!
Whoa, it was one of those lockup ones where
that got me really good.
Sawdust. Sawdust got us. Rockman says, "Sorry, the jelly was just inspirational for ID." Oh no, that's fine, and that's why I still took your notice because. I'll explain this. We got a whole board game out of suggestions that people made for our first card game.
Yeah.
It may not be exactly what you want, and specifically our House of Possession board game was the result of people for our Jack the Ripper hidden identity game where they wanted us to do what if each character had unique abilities, and we're like, well, you know who was across the table from you, but we did take the point that they wanted to play something with unique abilities, so we built a game that started with that in mind. So
he was so.
My point being, maybe this doesn't have to do with Sky Jellies. Maybe it's something else. Or maybe that ends up in the story we're talking about. Or I don't know. We shall see.
I think it is time to raid Gareth, though.
So I'm going to set up the command now. We're going to raid Gareth. Thanks you guys so much for hanging out with us again.
And it felt so weird not to paint tonight. But I had fun. This is what I do when I doodle. I do storms. So, but this is actually my first dust storm. That is brand new for me.
This I've got a copy. All right, now I'm starting the.
And now I'm done. I'm stopping.
So for those of you watching us on Twitch, we are about to raid over to Gareth for both Twitch and YouTube. Guys, thanks for hanging out.
Yes, and thank you for joining, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye, folks.